Hello, dear friends. As other channels say, this article is for entertainment purposes. It can be taken as a science fiction story, but I take my work very seriously. My mission is to inform, educate, and entertain in a balanced way. Opinion piece: New Atlantis, 2025 portal. Defeat of Lucifer. Higher civilization. Crash in September. New financial system. The Great Revelation. Abundance in the new reality. We are facing the Great Transition. Saint Germain will lead in October. The new era was infiltrated in 1998. Let's start. The New Atlantis is a utopian novel written by Sir Francis Bacon in 1626. It describes a mythical land, Bensalem, which is located on an identified island in some place of the ocean, which is a project of social, political, and scientific reason. It is an example of utopian literature that shows a fictional society in which research conceived according to a new method is a reality, thus giving an ideal solution to Bacon's ambition to create a community governed by science and harmony. The novel includes a study of the legend of Atlantis told by Plato, as well as the many theories regarding its location and disappearance. Bacon presents the idea of an institution called Solomon's House, which is a center of scientific research and advanced knowledge. On this land, humanity is important to the inhabitants, who wish to keep their society secret, but at the same time help the people who come to their shores. The inhabitants of New Atlantis welcome the sailors, but keep their society secret and restrict them from touring the island. Secrecy is essential to them, and they ask visitors not to talk about their visit if they decide to leave. That is, they sign a confidentiality agreement or a non-disclosure agreement. A spiritual project. Saint Germain created the New Atlantis project for the US. He's a being of light who was reincarnated in the 18th century and brought the hierarchy to create a higher civilization. He was very active in France in the 18th century in the Masonry lodges, especially in the Lodge of the Nine Sisters, and with certain people such as Benjamin Franklin, who was also in part of the lodge. And with Saint Germain, Benjamin created the American Constitution. Saint Germain created the US with the new Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. The Constitution is now the illustrated legal basis according to the Galactic Codex. Therefore, the US has a fundamental role in the emergence of the New Atlantis according to Cobra. The basic purpose was to create a framework of a new society in the age of Aquarius. Saint Germain worked intensively at that time to reactivate the energy network on the planet so that it would be ready for the coming changes of the New Atlantis. It has been involved in that process for hundreds of years. To create the new financial system, he deposited the fortune in a special account called the Saint Germain Trust. This fund accumulated between $40 and $50 billion and was blocked by the dark side, but this money will be released for all humankind. Saint Germain is now working on all the projects, and above all, the situation has been accelerating since September of last year. He now participates directly in the surface operation, working with the Astra Command, the resistance movement, the Pleiadians, and the Dragon Societies in order to gather enough power for planetary liberation. The dark forces are trying everything they can to crush Western civilization, but they will not succeed. There are two powerful forces. One is the clique that wants to crush the current civilization, and the other is the forces of light who want to maintain the original project of the West. But civilization will be preserved because it is the project of Saint Germain. Responsible. According to Cobra, the being called Lucifer was captured by the forces of light many years ago. When he realized that he did, he volunteered to go to Central Sun. Saint Germain will assume the position of coordinator of the planetary liberation process in October. So there are many changes. The Galactic Confederation is working hard. The Ashtar Command is responsible for planetary liberation and works together with Saint Germain. They are the leaders of the entire process in the solar system. There are more higher beings beyond our solar system, like Metatron. The king of the world, Sanat Kumara, and other beings are not found here. They have different approach and are working from higher dimensions in various locations in the galaxy. They all work with the energy of the center of the galaxy. Its structure has become more efficient, reflecting the current situation. A few years ago, Saint Germain commissioned Cobra to prepare the grid of light on the surface of the planet for the new Atlantis. One part of that process is the Chintamani stones that came from Sirius, a star system millions of years ago. They came to reactivate the light. They will be reactivated when the time comes for the last solar flare or galactic wave and the pole shift. The time is now. He instructed him to place the stones in certain critical locations to prepare for the pole shift and the event. In ancient times, priests and priestesses knew the planetary network. They were the ones in charge of the records. The druids could hear the ancient songs of the stones and of Mother Earth. They knew about the coming age of light. We are living in a very special time. Chintamani stones are unique stones that are also mentioned in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Financial collapse. Economist Martin Armstrong predicted a collapse of Western civilization in early September of this year. This is just a prediction based on your understanding of the different cycles. But now we're at the end of one cycle and the beginning of a new one. In the year 2025, we will have very strong aspects that will change the landscape of this planet forever. The most important aspect is the configuration of three outer planets, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune. They are making a very harmonious configuration. This configuration occurs once every 500 years. Every time it happened, there were rebirths. You know what happened 500 years ago? There were many inventions. It was the time of discovery and rebirth of art, classical literature, and the spiritual awakening. Now we repeat the same pattern in higher tones. We have invented the Internet and the New Age movement as a beginning, and we are achieving planetary liberation. When Cobra was asked if the New Age movement was a psychological operation, his answer was negative. In quotes, originally, the New Age movement was very positive. It was born around the years 1970 and 1980, a time of very powerful astrological configuration with Neptune and Pluto. That caused many awakenings, but dark forces infiltrated the movement and it was hijacked, as they always do with all spiritual movements. The strong manipulation occurred in 1998, and especially in the year 2000. There has not been a single spiritual movement in the history of humankind that has not been infiltrated by darkness sooner or later. Planets. We are at a trigger point that occurs once every 500 years, but the current trigger point could be much more intense because the three outer planets will change signs. We have Pluto move from Capricorn to Aquarius, Neptune moves on from Pisces to Aries, and Uranus moves from Taurus to Gemini. So, this will be the most intense energetic change that will continue for many generations. Uranus will conjunct Sedna, an asteroid that creates a resonance field that signifies the end of the Platonic era. This will produce a very powerful astrological effect that occurs once every 20,000 years. This time, Sedna will conjunct Uranus, and both at the same time will make conjunctions with the Pleiades. This will happen next year. It will be the most explosive configuration that the first contact with the cosmic races can trigger. At the same time, all of those planets are in configuration with Haumea, which will also change its signs from Libra to Scorpio. It is an asteroid in the Kuiper belt, which means the beginning of the new era and the rebirth of spirituality. This may happen this year or early next year. This will all happen next year, but some of us are already feeling it. We are facing the great transition. Divulgation or disclosure. The big reveal or the big disclosure will be a sudden process and will completely change the game of geopolitics. People in higher positions already know this, but they know they can't do anything about it. That's why they try to manipulate the process, but they will not succeed. If the US does not make the disclosure, Russia, China, India, Vietnam, France, Brazil, and the French Polynesians can do so. Whistleblowers have a lot of materials, but the reason this doesn't happen is because they are afraid to speak out. There is not enough energy to overcome that fear, so there is no one to stop the game now. But once they speak, the game of the New World Order can be suddenly stopped. This can start at any time, and we are getting closer to that moment. I can't predict how long it will take, but it can start at any time. The energy of Pluto in Aquarius will individually and collectively connect the surface population with the forces of light beyond the planet. The other aspect is the underground forces. There is the resistance movement, the Gata network, and the Dragon group. People will begin to realize that there is a huge network of tunnels there. The war in Ukraine was exposed, Mariupol's network of underground tunnels. The war in Gaza exposed Hamas tunnels. People are realizing that there are many more tunnels like this everywhere. The Blue Dragons have their own underground tunnel system in China. There are many underground cities in China. There will come a time when they will no longer be able to hide. It is only a matter of time where and how these tunnels will emerge into the light of the day. Light is entering the solar system to make many changes in the coming weeks. The Babylon fleet is gathering on the other side of the moon. This is the reason why so many countries are suddenly sending out their lunar landing vehicles, such as Japan, India, and the US. Everyone wants to see what happens on the moon, especially on its far side. There are huge underground Aldebaran bases that are preparing to come to this planet. The top officials of the secret agencies are scared that they are so close to Earth. This will be much closer than that. I can't speak to their exact plan, but I can say that they will come here. There are many races that are entering the solar system in the last 2 weeks. Some of them are not known to humankind. There hasn't been this much light present in the solar system since 1996, but they have returned. I can't predict how it will unfold, but I can say that this cosmic drama will unfold soon. We are born in a particular place because we are meant to do something in that place at this time. Every time we look, we know that we are here for something more. There are many preparations behind the scenes. I won't talk about anything before it's finished. I would say good things are happening, but they are not enough. They have to be big enough to change my life, yours, and everyone's life. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.